Who would have thought that so soon after I made my Dread Theory video that the Metroid fanbase would be getting yet another trailer for Metroid Dread? A trailer that not only surprised us with twists and turns, but answered a few questions some of us had been asking. Not only that, but this latest trailer for Metroid Dread combined with the last two teasers that we got gave me an even better thought on the Dread Theory I discussed in the last Metroid Dread video. So let's dive in and tackle this latest Metroid Dread trailer in full. And hey, if you like what you see or even hear, do me a favor and hit that like button as well as hitting that subscribe button to help this channel reach 5,000 subs by the end of 2021. Lately, you all have completely blown me away with your support on videos like this one, and it's honestly incredible. Thank you all for the continued support on these Metroid Dread videos. I'm glad to see so many people enjoying Metroid Dread and enjoying Metroid, so let's not waste any more time and talk about more Metroid Dread. Right from the beginning of this trailer, Metroid Dread reveals that it's not pulling any punches when it comes to showing off new foes, its graphics, or its gameplay. Everything in the trailer seems to be from in-engine game footage, and I couldn't be happier because this game looks absolutely gorgeous. In the beginning of the trailer, coming immediately out of an elevator, Samus's eye gets caught by a figure, a lone figure, standing across a bridge. The same bridge, mind you, that in the previous teaser, we saw Samus absolutely Yamcha'd on in her base fusion suit. But the beginning of this trailer shows us that Samus actually comes out of the elevator in the Omega suit, the X-Parasite infused suit Samus had on in other teasers, including later in this trailer as well. But before I delve too far into thinking about that, and how it relates to the beginning of the game, I think it's important to understand that there's a very strange vibe that Metroid Dread creates overall. Samus always seems to be on edge in these trailers and teasers, and with good reason. The Galactic Federation enemy units have stopped communicating after encountering the X-Parasite on planet ZDR, and everything about this planet in general has a very dark aura, from the Chozo hieroglyphics to the fact that this Chozo that we see is the first living Chozo that we've seen in the entire series. So not only are we given this feeling of dread, but so is Samus. Of course, Samus is alerted to something on the other side of the bridge when she comes out of the elevator, only to be met with the reality that when we see it first from a sky view, and then from an over-the-shoulder view, it is in fact a Chozo battlesuit. The same Chozo battlesuit where Samus's suit is actually derived from. Notice that there is a very similar arm cannon on the Chozo battlesuit, compared, of course, to Samus's Chozo suit. A very ominous Chozo battlesuit, in fact. Just based on looking at it, it's clear to me that this is not being controlled by a Chozo at all, or rather, there is not a Chozo in it. Rather, I believe this is an autonomous Chozo warrior unit. Remember, of course, the Chozo were very well advanced in technology, so it wouldn't be surprising that some of their battlesuits might be fully autonomous robots. And of course, as the title drops yet again, we see this Chozo warrior suit depicted in these hieroglyphics in this trailer. But from here, the trailer just gets absolutely bonkers as we get our first look at some new abilities and the power of this Chozo warrior unit. In this trailer, there's absolutely no hesitation from the devs of Metroid Dread when it comes to them showing us new abilities, and right out of the gate in the gameplay portion of this trailer, we are introduced to a new Aeon ability known as Flash Shift. Now, how do I know it's called Flash Shift? Well, because along with this trailer, a Metroid Dread report also released, which I will link in the description, and these Metroid Dread reports explain what happens in the trailer a bit more and what people see in the trailers. But immediately what I love about this ability is how they show it being utilized. Used not only for offense but also defense, it will allow Samus to position herself to take advantage of any opponent. Whether that be a fast dodge or getting behind an opponent to deal some massive damage, it is super powerful. It also appears that we can use this new Aeon ability in succession, which is going to be sick and just plain awesome. It gives Samus a new and greater sense of mobility than we've ever really seen before, and this is just the start of some of this trailer and some of the amazing stuff we see. After showing us, of course, this new ability, though, we cut back to the Chozo warrior engaging Samus now in battle. And while brief, we can see the incredible power of the Chozo's technology as the warrior unit unleashes a massive laser at Samus, destroying the elevator she used to come down on before continuing to engage her. This Chozo warrior unit isn't messing around, but something seems off about it, and I'll be discussing that a little bit later in this video. But what happens next in this trailer is just... Damn it, Nintendo, just take my money. In a slight jump scare situation, a massive pair of jaws approach Samus, only for it to be stopped short, revealing Kraid. F***ing Kraid! Yes! Kraid, the giant alligator monster that we haven't seen since Metroid Zero Mission, makes his grand return in Metroid Dread. But oddly enough, we noticed that Kraid is actually chained up, which is why Kraid's jaws, while trying to eat Samus, was stopped short. Which is rather interesting, because it makes me think this is either a clone of Kraid built potentially by the Chozo, or it's an ex-parasite resembling Kraid that has somehow been captured. Either way, it's great to see Kraid back in this shot, in particular, with Samus just being a badass, charging her arm cannon as Kraid just roars at her. This shot just says it all. Samus has been through so much. She just casually charges her beam in Kraid's face, and it reminds me of what Samus does to the Digger Nut in Metroid Samus Returns. And I love that. And what's really cool about this is probably the cutscene we see before the Kraid fight in the game. If that's the case, I literally cannot wait to fight Kraid again. This fight is just going to hit me right in the feels and really, really plays into my Metroid nostalgia factor. But as the trailer goes on, we get a slight look, of course, now at some underwater portions of ZDR as well. And this is great because that means we are going to be getting a gravity suit in this new style and seeing it in full-fledged Fusion Gravity Suit HD. And of course, we do see it a little bit later in the trailer. But we also get a look at some of the underwater environments, and although it is quick and brief, it is just absolutely stunning. In this portion of the trailer, we also get to see a few more abilities that Samus now has access to, and of course the environments. For one, for the abilities that are coming back, we see the Ice Missile, so we'll be able to freeze our enemies again. There's a new Morph Ball Bomb that's known as the Cross Bomb, which is a Morph Ball Bomb that explodes in 4 different directions, so I wonder how that'll be used for some puzzle elements. Storm Missiles, which at first I'm sure some of us thought were Seeker Missiles, but no, it's just destructive power, as you unleash a barrage of missiles onto 5 separate targets like Seeker Missiles. The Grapple Beam, of course, is back, which looks much cleaner in this game, not as wide. And of course, it will also appear that with the Grapple Beam, it looks like it'll work with the Spider Magnet surfaces as well. But along with that destructive power from some of Samus' arsenal, we get into some more of the destructive power of that Chozo Warrior unit as this trailer plays on, as it shakes off not only Samus' beam blasts with shields, but it also seems to have melee abilities which Samus brushes aside with ease. But we're not even done with that Chozo Warrior unit yet, as we'll see more of them later in the trailer. As Samus later in the trailer seems to fire a Super Missile, at least I'm pretty sure it's a Super Missile as it is green, at the Chozo Warrior. All it does is deflect off this Chozo Warrior unit, and it leaves the Warrior unit with one scratched eye, and oh boy, now you pissed it off. And of course, Samus pays for it immediately, as the Warrior also apparently has access to the Aeon ability Flash Shift, and it quickly snatches Samus. By far and away, though, as the trailer goes on, the coolest feature is looking at some of the new enemies they show off. Specifically, the Chozo statue-like warriors. Similar to what I believe the true Bomb Terizo and Golden Terizo were to look like in modern-day Super Metroid, I believe these are much more updated versions of these enemies. They wield weapons like spears and such, and it seems that Samus will have a tough time dealing with them, as they don't actually seem like statues. In fact, the gold one we see later in the trailer has this tar-like mouth where the Chozo statue's head would be, so is it an ex-parasite? I don't know. But we also get some other great looks at some of the Chozo's technology in terms of other enemies, such as drones and shield bots in the trailer as well. And this just gives a massive variety of enemies that we're going to be fighting throughout the game, which I just cannot wait for. But in this same section, we also get some beautiful looks at more in-engine cutscenes and other returning power-ups. One such ability is the Speed Booster and Shine Spark, which were indeed missing from Samus Returns. I'm so happy to see this high mobility option back, as the last time we saw the Shine Spark and Speed Booster in the last Metroid game was Metroid Other M. What's also cool is obviously we're going to be getting the Screw Attack back, as well as some potential power bombs. Now, while the power bomb isn't directly shown in the trailer, if you actually pause the trailer at 1:17, if you zoom into the top left, you can see an icon next to Samus's missile count. However, you notice that there's only 2 of them. I believe this to specifically be power bombs. So in this same section of this trailer, despite all these new abilities and power-ups and stuff and returning stuff, we also get a look at the new gravity suit, and god damn, it's everything I ever wanted. But of course, with all these cool shots back to back in the trailer, it comes to a climax as Samus is being strangled by this Chozo warrior as it finally charges its very powerful beam before uttering some speech that we hear in the trailer. And suddenly, Samus is wrapped in this mysterious purple energy, and it leaves her in shock. Now, where have I seen this purple energy before? Oh, right. At the end of the teaser video Nintendo threw back on their Twitter on August 6th. It was never made into a full trailer, but it was a very small 34-second teaser. This little teaser was also the main discussion video of my Dread theory, but with this new trailer, I think we can put together a better understanding of how the beginning of the game will play out, and in turn, it does slightly change my Dread theory. So let me just say, before I get into talking about a theory I had in the last video, if you haven't watched my initial Dread theory video now, it would be the time to do so, as I basically go over my thoughts on what's going to happen in Metroid Dread initially. But as I said, with these last 2 trailers, I think it's clear that my theory was a bit out there. However, I still think there's some value in my Dread theory specifically. So let's kind of take a small dive into that, and as you guys listen to what I've changed. So, obviously, as the game begins, Samus is on her way to planet ZDR as she intercepts a transmission from the Galactic Federation, or Adam, in her ship that states the Federation has lost contact with their EMI units after discovering the X-Parasite fully well and alive. Upon discovering this, Adam instructs Samus, as they make their way to ZDR, to treat her lost assets with care. Upon landing on her planet in the Omega suit, we'll get to play, of course, the tutorial of the game, where Samus is pretty much at her full power. Eventually, though, Samus will come across these Chozo hieroglyphics depicting events that happened years ago in the Chozo's war with the Metroids, and then potentially each other. This, of course, will then cause Samus to have her flashback of events in fusion, and her Omega suit will react rather strangely. However, this flowing purple energy from the Omega suit after looking at these hieroglyphics will activate an elevator on planet ZDR. An elevator that supposedly leads to the core of the planet. Ultimately, upon exiting this elevator, at the bottom we're going to be met with the same Chozo warrior unit we see in the current trailer, and ultimately Samus will get her kicked, and the Chozo warrior will pretty much steal all of Samus's abilities, yet leave her alive. After getting Yamcha'd, of course, by this Chozo warrior, Samus will come to finding not only the elevator back up to the surface broken, but the Chozo warrior that she was fighting will be nowhere to be found. Eventually, after some more gameplay, of course, she is going to end up encountering a very real Chozo that will explain to her what's happening on ZDR, or will get, hidden lore as you travel through the world, and it will still kind of bring up a few questions, but I believe that's where the beginning of the game will end. But as I said, this is definitely going to bring up a few questions. The main question that really comes up into mind is, why would this Chozo warrior unit attack Samus in the first place? Well, I think it's because it's actually being controlled by an X-Parasite. As we know, on planet ZDR, the EMI units lose communication with the Galactic Federation after discovering the X-Parasite. Now, if this is an autonomous Chozo robot, who's to say that the X-Parasite can't also infect it? Obviously, despite being controlled by an X-Parasite, if it's even being controlled by an X-Parasite, the X might realize that Samus, and the reason it attacks Samus is because Samus is infused with Metroid DNA, as you guys recall from the events of Fusion. Again, you gotta remember that the Metroids are the natural predator of the X-Parasite, so with an X-Parasite being able to infuse themselves with potential Chozo technology and use it against Samus, who is infused with Metroid DNA, that's why specifically it may attack her. However, upon realizing that Samus still has an X-Parasite on her in the form of the Omega suit, the Warrior Unit X will let her go. But before doing so, it not only will take the rest of Samus's abilities, but it will take the X from the Omega suit with it. Based on this specific little detail, I think it's possible that the SAX still technically exists in the game, or will exist in the game, but in a very different manner, within the possible corrupted M units, and of course, this corrupted Chozo warrior unit. But that's just my thought on that. It could just be a robot, unless it's not, and this Chozo warrior unit will pursue us at times, like the SAX did, along with the Emmy pursuing us at times, which I think would be a really, really cool twist. But that's really all I have to say on what I think changed on my theory. I don't necessarily think the SAX is going to be alive, but I do believe that the X-Parasite is still going to be a main cause on some of these enemies. Remember, that tar-like mouth on that gold Chozo robot that we saw, or that gold Chozo statue more specifically, why would it have a tar-like mouth if it's a statue? I mean, the X-Parasite technically would be able to manipulate them, so it's very possible that the X-Parasite are still going to play a very big part into Metroid Dread. But hey, if you think this theory has any value, just please let me know down in the comments section below. Along with that, though, of course, I hope you all enjoyed this little trailer breakdown of the latest Metroid Dread trailer. As the game gets closer and closer to release, I can't help but get more and more excited. Metroid has been an absolutely huge part of my childhood, and it's so great to see everyone getting on board with Dread and supporting it. The OG fans, the new fans, no matter where you come from, I hope you will find a ton of enjoyment in Metroid Dread when it fully releases. And of course, as always, if you enjoyed what you just watched, do me a favor and hit that like button, as well as hitting that subscribe button to help this channel reach its goal of 5,000 subscribers by the end of the year. I'm also going to be doing a full Let's Play of Metroid Dread when it initially releases and when I come back from my convention Too Many Games this year, so you'll definitely want to be subscribed to see that. But other than that, I once again hope you all enjoyed the video, and until then, this is CAJ Man 777 signing off. Stay safe, everybody.